So to begin, please pick out your favorite Raglan sweatshirt, then trace half of the back. Then you're going to flip it over and trace half of your front of the sweatshirt. You're also going to be tracing half of the sleeves. Please notice that the sleeves front and the back are actually different. So we're going to have to make a full sleeve pattern. So first, just trace out half of your front sleeve. When you get to the armhole part, just flip the sleeve over, then just trace out the armhole. And you're also going to be tracing kind of like a quarter of the neckline, because that's how Raglan sleeves are supposed to be. It's like part of your neckline. Now we're going to trace the back of the sleeves. So flip it over, line it up properly with your front side of the sleeve. Then you're pretty much going to just do the same thing. Just trace half of your back of the sleeves. Then you're going to trace, then when you get the armhole part, you're going to trace it. And you're also going to be tracing over the neckline too. So this is what the sleeves look like. Remember to add half an inch seam allowance all around it before you cut it out. So this is all the pattern pieces you should have. Remember to add half an inch seam allowance all around for each of them, except on the fold. So I guess this is optional if you don't want a low back. But if you do want a low back, what you're going to do on the back of your pattern piece, you're going to measure down from the fold, not including the seam allowance, 10 inches. Then you're going to move down from the armhole about 1¼ inches. Then you're just going to connect those two into sort of a curve. And then you're going to add half an inch seam allowance on that curve, and that's going to be your roll back. You're going to cut one front piece, one back piece, and 2 sleeves. Fold your sleeves in half, then you're going to sew it right sides together. Using lace like me, then I'm going to be sewing lace with a overcasting stitch. Place your front and back of your pieces right sides together, then sew the sides using a zigzag stitch. So pin the sleeves onto the armhole of the shirt. You're going to first match the middle seam that's the sleeve and the armhole and together, and then you're just going to pin them. Then you're just going to continue pinning the sleeve all the way onto the armhole of the shirt. You're now going to sew the sleeves right sides together on the shirt. You can use a zigzag stitch or you can serge it. After sewing both sleeves on, you're going to push the seam towards the shirt side. Then you're going to top stitch it. This will hide the seams. So remember how the back of the armhole on the sleeve was actually longer than we needed it? Just trim it so it'll be more like the same length. Now we're going to measure the neckline. Measure the top neckline first, like the top neck, the top front and back neckline. Don't measure the deep neckline on the back. We're going to measure that separately. We're still going to measure the back neckline. Just take the pattern piece, the one that we cut away, and just measure the neckline from there, and just add that neckline to the already existing neckline measurement that you took. Now we're going to measure the deep neckline on the back. Just pretty much just measure it like you did with the top neckline. Now it's time to cut your neckline bindings. You're going to be cutting 2 of them. For the top neckline binding, you're going to fold it in half, then sew it using a serger or a zigzag stitch. For the binding of the low back one, you don't need to fold it in half or anything, just leave it as it is. Now it's time to cut the bottom cuff of the shirt. The width should be your desired width doubled, and the length should be a few inches shorter than the actual length of the bottom of the shirt. I sewed it together right sides together to create a loop. You're pretty much doing the same thing for the arm cuffs too. Just double the width and make sure the length is shorter than the actual length of the sleeve. You also sew the side of the arm cuff the same way you sew the side of the bottom cuff. And for all of the cuffs, you're going to fold it in half. Put the cuffs over the sleeves and right sides together and just sew over it. This is how you're going to sew the bottom cuff to the bottom of the shirt also. Fold the lower back binding in half, then attach it to the lower back of the neckline. Then you're going to sew it. After attaching the binding onto the lower back, you're going to fold over the binding, covering the seams, and you're going to stitch in the ditch on the front. You're going to do the same thing for the top neckline. Just fold the binding in half and then attach it onto the top neckline. And just pretend that the back neckline that we cut off to make the deep neckline, just pretend it's still there and just still sew and just still attach it like the same way you did as the lower neckline binding. You're pretty much going to do the same thing again. Just fold it over, covering the seams, and just sew it all around so the seams will be hidden. And this is what it looks like. Thank you guys for watching.